Hey guys, it's Evan from Coaster Revolution, bringing you another tier list video today. Today we're going to be looking at King's Dominion and all of the current operating roller coasters at King's Dominion. So I just visited the park twice this summer for the first time, so I have a lot of fresh thoughts in my mind, so I think King's Dominion is a good park to do next year. Eventually I would like to do all of the ones that I visited, but we'll be doing that here in the next few weeks. So let's jump right on into it. So first let's start off with Dominator, just because that one came to mind first. Dominator is a good ride. I don't think it's that great. I'm not a huge fan of B&M floorless coasters. You still have a couple of weird transitions that bang your head a couple times, but overall it's a pretty fun coaster and probably one of the best that was relocated from Geauga Lake. So this is a pretty good ride, and it'll probably never have a wait at King's Dominion, I imagine. I was there on a Tuesday, so it wasn't crowded at all both times I was there. But with this being a B&M and having good capacity, I would imagine this coaster doesn't have much of a wait. Next, let's do Anaconda. Anaconda is quite bad. It is not a good ride. I would compare this kind of to Vortex, but less thrilling and way more painful. Yeah, we didn't have a really good ride on this. It probably is the next ride to leave King's Dominion, if I'm being honest. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but they're still waiting on that volcano replacement, so who knows how long it'll be for this ride to continue lasting. They should have kept Vortex and just got rid of this thing instead, but it is what it is. Woodstock Express, this one's meh. It's a kiddie coaster. There's nothing too special about it. It's not marketed for me. Not much else to say about it. It's fun for the kids. Let's do Flight of Fear. I like Flight of Fear a lot. I'm going to put it in the great tier. This is a solid 8 out of 10 ride. I do think I like Flight of Fear more than the average enthusiast. I've enjoyed this ride a lot ever since I was a kid. The launch is thrilling. I think the darkness enhances the ride. The GP loved this ride. It has pretty poor capacity, so if you're wanting to get on this, I would recommend getting on it early. But other than that, great ride overall. Apple's Apple, meh. It's a wild mouse. There's not much else to say about it. Wasn't anything too special or memorable about it, so I'm going to put it in the meh category, as I would most wild mice coasters. Backlot Stunt Coaster is a good ride. Again, this one has more of a forceful launch and initial helix than most people give it credit for. It almost always causes me to gray out, which is kind of crazy for a family coaster. It's pretty short, but the theming is pretty good. They weren't running the special effects, but like Kings Island normally does, but it was still a good ride. Great Pumpkin Coaster. It's pretty uninspired for a family coaster. It's not that good, for a kiddie coaster even. So I'm going to put this down in quite bad as well. We'll throw it, just because it's so boring and uninspired, I'm just going to throw it behind Anaconda. Apple's Apple will put slightly ahead of Woodstock Express here. So the further left, the higher they are in the category. Let's continue. Is it weird? This is the first time I'm doing face cam and I'm a little bit nervous. Moving on, we have Reptilian. Reptilian, it was just so boring. I had never ridden a bobsled coaster before this, but it was just not exciting at all, and it didn't really have much speed. Some of the bank turns are cool, but it just didn't do a whole lot for me. So I'm going to put it down here behind Apple's Apple. Up next, let's do Racer 75. I really enjoyed this ride. It was fairly smooth. You could get decent floater air time, surprisingly. It's not as big as the Racer at Kings Island. I'm going to put it just ahead of Backlot Stunt Coaster as a good ride for the park. And also in the good category, I'm going to throw Tombili in there as well. I've only been on a couple of these 40 free spins. Tombili is one of the smaller models, but I got a couple of flips, and it's nothing too special if you've been on a 40 free spin, but it is pretty fun, so it's a good ride. The GP like it. The theming goes really well with the new Jungle Expedition area, so not too much to complain about Tombili. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, that's Grizzly. Grizzly is hot garbage. Man, when we were on this, we just could not wait to get off. There was surprisingly a little bit of airtime and some decent laterals, but it was so jarring and so rough. that we couldn't really enjoy this thing at all. I can't remember if we were on a wheel seat or not, but I don't really think it makes a big difference on this ride. Sadly, this is another one that's really bad. I think this is the worst, one of the worst coasters I've ever been on, honestly. For certain, one of the roughest, and probably the worst ride in the park, in my opinion, just because of the roughness. There was hardly any line for this. I think most people and the GP know that to stay away from this ride in its current state. But maybe, who knows, maybe I just got a really bad ride on it and most people enjoy it. But those are my thoughts about it. Finally, the top 2 rides. Obviously, these are going to be elite, and I'm even going to put them in the ultra elite category. Both of them. Both Twisted Timbers and Intimidator 305 are ultra elite coasters. It's amazing that King's Dominion has a pretty mediocre lineup, in my opinion, other than the very heavy top 2 at I-305 and Twisted Timbers. You know, those are incredible coasters. Definitely make King's Dominion a bucket list park for any coaster enthusiast, just for those 2 rides alone. If I ever go back to King's Dominion, I'm just going to marathon those 2 rides. Those are really the only 2 worth my time, in my opinion, since I've gotten all the other credits. So, for the argument of which one I like better, honestly, they're both so good in their own way. I think I like Intimidator 305 a little bit better than Twisted Timbers just because it's so intense. Like, I was graying out on probably half the ride. I was probably dehydrated, but I had never experienced something like that on a coaster before. So I was extremely thrilled and excited and came off the ride just completely flabbergasted. It was just an insane experience overall. Like, the amount of, like, laterals when you get on those quick switchbacks is just crazy. And it has some really good underrated airtime, too. The airtime on I-305, very solid. Of course, it just depends on what you prefer in a roller coaster. Twisted Timbers had awesome airtime. It really is like a mini Steel Vengeance. I would compare this to, like, the second half of Steve. After the mid-course brake run on Steel Vengeance, it's, like, seems like the same ride with crazy ejector hills, you know, a couple of inversions through the ride, but vast improvement over Hurler, obviously. Rounding out the top 2 in this park, and making King's Dominion really a major destination for any roller coaster enthusiast. I'll throw the link to this tier list down in the description so you guys can rank up the coasters on your own if you want. And also let me know down in the comments if you have any differing opinions than what I do here. I love hearing everybody's opinions on different rides. Anyway, so those are my thoughts on all of the roller coasters currently in operation at King's Dominion. Hope you guys enjoyed. Look forward to the next coaster tier list video, and I will see you guys in the next one.